Hello, in this video I'll be teaching you how to cut this stylish queen and neckline dress with an asymmetric hemline. So if this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into today's video. So to start, I've gone ahead to mark out all my basic measurements, which includes my shoulder to bust, which is 9 inches, shoulder to under bust, which is 12 inches, shoulder to waist, which is 17, and for the top length, you're going to add 8 inches after your waistline. So my pattern paper is not really enough, but I'm just going to work with what I have. What I have is about 7.5 inches. So I'll just go ahead and I will label all my pattern. So after I'm done marking this, I'm going to start by marking my shoulder divided by 2 plus half. So my shoulder is 14 divided by 2, I have 7 plus half, making it 7.5. And I'll come down by 1 inch at this point. So from that point, I'll be drawing my shoulder slope and I'll go ahead to connect. After that point, I'll go ahead to place my tape. I'll find my chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. And at that point, I'm going to go ahead to draw a straight line. After I'm done drawing out a straight line, I'm going to go ahead to mark back what I have on the shoulder, which is 7.5 inches, and I'll mark. So from that point, I'm going to connect this all the way to the upper part of the pattern. So I'm going to go ahead to divide this into 2 by folding my tape, and I'll mark. Come out by 1/2 inch, and after I'm done marking that, I'll go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4 at this point. And now I'll be connecting from the bust circumference to the 1/2 inch at the armhole and to the upper part of my pattern. This is to draw out the armhole curve of this dress. So after marking this, I'll head over to marking my dart intake, and to do that, I'll start with marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2. I'll be marking this all the way from the upper part of the pattern to the lower part. After I'm done marking that, I'll go ahead to place my ruler, and I'm going to draw out a straight line connecting from the upper part of this pattern to the lower part. After I'm done marking this, I'll start marking my dart intake. So for my dart intake, I'm using 1 inch on both sides because my bust is bust 33. So if you're busty or you're on the bigger size, you'll be using 1.5 inches on both sides, making it a dart intake of 3 inches. So after marking this, I'll go ahead to place my ruler, and I'm going to connect, drawing out a straight line. I'll also go ahead to mark this on the other side of my pattern. After I'm done marking this, I'll go ahead to connect from the bust down to the under bust, and I'll also repeat this at the other side of my pattern also. So I'm going to use my marker to outline the rest of my pattern so that it's going to be very visible for you to see. So from this point, I'll be coming up by 2 inches. This totally depends on what you want on this part, and I'll go ahead to draw out a straight line. Now I'll be marking my dart intake also, which is my nipple to nipple divided by 2 first, and after this I'll just go ahead and mark 1 inch dart intake on both sides. So after I'm done marking, I'll go ahead to connect. So after I'm done connecting down, I'll go ahead to use my marker to mark this out to make it more visible for you to see. So after I'm done connecting this, for the sweetheart neckline, I'm going to come down or come up by 1 inch after my bust line. So I'll just go ahead to connect this all the way to that point. After I'm done connecting, on the neckline of the dress, I'll be marking 2.5 inches, and I'll go ahead to connect this all the way to this point. So after I'm done connecting now, I'll go ahead to outline this so that I'll be getting rid of the bulginess at the yoke part of this dress, or at the sweetheart neckline of this dress. So after this, I'll come up by 0.3 and I'll extend it down. So this is to get rid of any excess at the yoke part of this dress. So the next step I'm going to take is to insert my body measurement. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, and I'll replace, add my sewing allowance, measure my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, and add the sewing allowance. At the waist, I'll mark the waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. Now here, I'll go ahead to mark my hip circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. So after that, I'll just go ahead to place my ruler and I'll connect this all the way, starting from the upper part to the lower part of the dress. So this is what I have, and I'll extend here by 1 inch out. This is just to replace what I took out at the dart, or you can still leave your pattern that way. So now I'll just outline this, and we are going to mark out all this measurement that we have on this part of the pattern. We are also going to turn to the other side and we are going to mark it out. So after that, I'll just go ahead to cut out this pattern, and after that I'll be marking out the bust dart of this pattern. So to get your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist at the front is 17 inches. My shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5. So that is a difference of 1.5 inches, and I'll go ahead to mark. So after I'm done marking, I'll just go ahead and outline it, and I'll shed it out to indicate that I have a bust dart. So just like I marked the bust dart on that side, I'll go ahead and also mark this at this other side of my pattern. So after this, I'll go ahead to open up my pattern, and we are going to work on the hemline of the pattern. So from here first, I'll mark the normal 5 inches after the waistline. Then I'll go up, and then from 2 inches, I'll blend in my pattern, and I will go ahead to connect this all the way to the end of my pattern paper, and from there I'll be going up. Then I'll come down about 6 inches or 6.5 just to create the asymmetric style, and I'll go up by 4 inches. Then I'll go ahead to blend off this side and then go ahead to draw another asymmetric hemline. So I'll be measuring about 6 inches at this point, and I'll go ahead to also connect it, also creating another asymmetric hemline, and then I will be coming down by 5 inches at the other side and I'll connect. So after this, I'll just go ahead and use my marker to mark this out, and I will be cutting out the rest of this pattern. So after I'm done cutting, this is what I have, and I'll go ahead to cut this out, and after that we'll move over to the back pattern of this dress. After I'm done cutting, this is what I have. Now we'll move over to the back pattern. So for the back pattern, I'm gonna have to mark out all the basic measurements, which includes the shoulder to bust, shoulder to under bust, and the top length. So just like I said, I took out the bust dart in front, so our shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5. So for the back length, I just added 5 inches because the sides of the dress is 5 inches after the waistline. So I went ahead to mark the same 2.5 inches. So I'll take this all the way to the lower parts, 1 inch after my nipple to nipple point. So I didn't see exactly what the back looks like, and I'll just be creating this just to match what we have in front. Let's just say is a queen and neckline also at the back of the dress. So next, I'll just place my tape, and I'll be marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2, which is 7 inches divided by 2. I still have 3.5 inches. Now I'll be marking ½ inch on both sides, come down by 1 inch, and then I'll go ahead to connect and also connect at the other side. From here, I'll come down by 4 inches, and I'll go ahead to connect and also connect on the other side. So after this, I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance, mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake and add my sewing allowance and replace the dart, mark my hip circumference divided by 4 and add the sewing allowance. From there, I'll just go ahead to connect my pattern all the way up, and connect this to the lower part of my pattern. After I'm done connecting this, I'll just go ahead to also take out the bulginess at the back. So for this pattern, I'll be cutting it in 2-in-1 way, which is if you're using a zipper, you can use it, and if you want to use an eyelet or lacing bar at the back, you also use it. So I marked 1/2 inch. I'll extend it all the way up and I'll take it down. This is to get rid of the bulginess at the back of the dress, and I'll just go ahead to extend this. So from here, I'll come down by 1/2 to avoid the zip from popping up at the center, and I will extend. So this is for people that want to use zipper at the back of this dress. So here I'll mark 0.3 inches to get rid of the bulginess at the back of this dress, and after I'm done marking that, I'm going to go ahead to mark for those that want to use a lacing bar area. I marked 2 inches after the zipper line, and I'll go ahead to take it all the way straight. So if you want to make use of the zipper, you're going to use the initial cutting. Then if you don't want to make use of the zipper, you're just going to use the second part where I actually cut out or marked out the lacing bar area of the dress. So I'll just go ahead and cut this out. So with this, I'm done with today's tutorial. If you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and also join us in our next video. Thanks.